Good morning, everybody. Welcome to JC Sports Replays. My name is Joe, and we are here on Saturday morning. Just getting the chat set up here so I can see it as I stretch out in my little armchair of happiness. Shouldn't be waiting. You should be live. Let's go live, baby. Should be live in a second here. There we go. So I'm here this morning to cut my head off, apparently. It's all right. This is what it is. And do a little, it's not an unboxing, but we've got the 1969 Payoff Pitch, which I ordered a while ago along with 1973. And had not had a chance yet to sit down and sort the cards. So I figured I'd sort them this morning as life goes on around us. It's been a busy morning already. There's Babe coming in from the yard.
Hello. Umbrellas are sturdy and up.
Nice. I'm doing some spring cleaning this morning. Morning, Ben. You actually ordered your Payoff Pitch to 83. Very nice, man. Very nice. Glad to hear it. Did you get it yet? It's on the way. Just got it yesterday. Nice, brother. I like Payoff Pitch a lot, which is why I'm here this morning to unbox 69. I've been kind of flopping around lately. Hadn't decided what I wanted to play. I've been defaulting to some of my Strat Basic just to keep me anxiety-free in the evenings. And with a plethora of time, I've been on vacation this week. Already sorted an envelope. Nice. That's actually something I haven't accounted for yet, is envelopes or rubber bands. So I'll have to do that. But yeah, just figured I'd get up. Got a really busy morning. We got up, and my wife's starting a new job on Monday, and it's work from home. So we had to rearrange. We live in a literal tiny house. We have about 550 square feet. We love it. We did that on purpose, but we both tend to accumulate stuff. So it was time to do a little spring cleaning. And hey, good morning, IG Jester. How are you? And make some space for her to work, which at the desk, which was occupied by my PlayStation, which doesn't get as much use as it used to. I go on binges, basically. The more tired I am, the more likely I am to play PlayStation, but I prefer to play a cards and dice game when I have the energy. So I don't know about you guys, if anybody has a similar pattern, but yeah, so we did a lot of cleaning this morning. We cleaned the living room largely, almost entirely. And as a result, I kind of felt like putting something new on the table. I've been hemming and hawing about what to play, and I think that I've decided to commit to a deep dive on Payoff Pitch for a while. A, because I really like the game, and B, because I'm a little stratted out, and Appa's just not doing it for me right now. I don't know why. Maybe just too similar. Maybe because I tasted Payoff Pitch and found I really like it. So yeah, I'm going to do a deep dive into the 69 season. What's that mean? That means I'm going to do an as played. The game format theory is very interesting. That's why you order it. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. Sorting cards is part of the fun, but it's also a pain. But yeah, I enjoy it. I find it. I could probably do this for a living if somebody would hire me to just sort cards all day, because I find it therapeutic, I guess. I just like organizing things. I always have. So I was in that mode this morning. Decided to take Strat off the table, and primarily because I finally opened this box that came with Payoff Pitch 69 and 73, as well as a set of fast action cards and pitcher hitting cards. I don't know why I thought I didn't have these. Apparently now I do, but I have two sets now, so that's fine. It actually adds for more variety with the fast action cards. Going through 83 and seeing all those names you remember as a kid, surprised at some of the teams they were on. Did you remember as being with X team? Yeah. It's always interesting, right, when you don't identify a guy as being with a certain team. For me, I have weird. I didn't. Other than the Yankees, I didn't follow baseball a lot when I was very young. So my exposure to guys was, and what teams they were on, was through Topps baseball cards and the 1985 and 6 Stratomatic baseball set. So I always associate guys with the team they were on at 86 for the most part, and it always surprises me when I see them on a different team. So I know what you mean. But just going to have a casual stream this morning. one of my weird issues when I have too much free time is I overthink things, and that includes my hobbies. And I've been hemming and hawing about what I wanted to play. I had 4 different games on the table this week. I had 3 different strat sets on the table this week. I started a 73 APBA replay. That wasn't doing it for me. And I think it's just I haven't committed to anything. I've been kind of just trying to play games really fast. Now I found myself catching up on stats and strat because I do stats by hand. I like to, but I'd fallen behind for whatever reason. I guess because I wasn't really committed to the project. So, like I said, this is kind of me taking a deep breath, getting over the end of vacation here, going back to work on Monday. It's been a nice break. We had a nice week together. Remember that John Smoltz was on the Boston Red Sox. You saw his 2009 card and it freaked me out. Yeah, I wouldn't remember that either. I was always just grateful that some of my guys were always on the Yankees. Like, if Mattingly had ever worn another uniform, or I don't know what I would have done. Same thing for, like, Williams and even Jeter. Although I was never, like... I think I appreciated Jeter more after the fact. He was never the best player on the team when you were watching him back then, so... but he was definitely the heart and soul of the team, so it would have been weird to see him in a different uniform. It would be a lot more strange to see Ted Williams in a different uniform. I'm sure when he was managing Washington, that was strange for a lot of Red Sox fans. But like even seeing Mattingly when he was managing the Dodgers was kind of weird. But anyway, I'm going to start sorting. So my thought process is I'm going to start doing a deep dive into Payoff Pitch, and I may. Don't hold me to this, but if I can get comfortable enough with the game, and that's been part of what my hesitation is. I need a pen or something, so that'll work. If I can get comfortable enough and with Payoff Pitch and enjoy it as much as I think I do in the small window of time I've played with it, I may start selling off some of the strat stuff because I have way too much of it. And that's part of my problem is just having too many seasons and always thinking like, oh, but I want to play this one. Oh, I want to play that one. To the point where I play 7 or 8 at a time and never get anything completed. So, so I'm hoping, I really am actually hoping that Payoff Pitch sticks for me. And I get into it enough that I'm comfortable finally paring down the collection because, like I said, we're in a small house. I have a storage unit full of board games, Stratomatic seasons, 7,000 or 8,000 books, basically every book I've ever read in my lifetime, and some I've never gotten to read. Where am I from, Ben? I'm in Shrewsbury Township, New Jersey, a small town on the Jersey Shore. I grew up in the Bronx, and now I live in Jersey. Lived in Jersey longer than I lived in New York, finally. That just happened in the last 2 years, so kind of cool. Wisconsin, the home of my other favorite game, Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you're in Gygax country, or you even know who the hell Gary Gygax is, but now, what's always interesting to me is figuring out how these are sorted. So I'm going to try to start with the first stack. We're already a little out of order because the top gets scrambled. So I'm just going to push back a little bit here, grab the first part of the first stack. They usually, I think, go alphabetical. You may be interested in buying Stratomatic season if I do end up selling. If I end up selling, I will definitely, it's going to be a while. Like, I'm going to give this a good 6 months before I truly consider that option. If I'm still playing Payoff Pitch devotedly at that point and I've settled in and I feel like I can get the games done in a reasonable amount of time, then yeah, I'll probably start selling strat sets I know I'll never use, which is the majority of them. I have just about every set they've ever printed except for some of the original 60 sets. So I have everything consecutively going back to like probably 68, and then some of the reissues in the earlier 60s. So, yeah, it's just, honestly, they've become a little bit of a burden. Yeah, I spent the last, 10 years collecting them since I got back into the hobby. And I won't pay the price for the original sets. They're just exorbitant. I won't pay thousands of dollars for something that, I'm a believer. I'm not a collector. I've turned into a collector to an extent, but it's because I want to play them. So the fact that I may never play them has motivated me to possibly try to make some money off the collection, frankly. We'd like to put a nice addition on the house, a little sunroom, and Babe wants to share her TikToks with you.
No.
Um,
Every post is real.
but yeah, for now I'm just going to see if I can get this Payoff Pitch deep dive going. So right off the top we've got a little Yaz action. Carl Yastrzemski, 1976. That's a nice card. Wow, 33 homers against righties, but only 7 against lefties. He's a completely different hitter against righties than against lefties. We've got Baltimore. We've got Boston. We've got Kansas. These are kind of a weird order. Kansas City, Washington. There's Detroit. I'm going to try to. Should be 12 teams per league, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'm going to try to get them in alphabetical order here. Make life easier. Minnesota, George Mitterwald. Angel Bravo for the Chicago White Sox. I think I should be able to set them up in 2 rows here. Billy Cowan for New York American. Now here's Atlanta National. St. Louis National. Nope, these are in no friggin' order whatsoever. But we'll get them there. Los Angeles, Montreal, San Francisco. St. Louis and Washington should be the final 2. There's the Mets, J.C. Martin. Here's San Diego. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. We're going to be a little short, actually, of space. I could probably squeeze them and get it. Game of 900 card pickup. Yeah, it took you about an hour and a half to sort. I remember the first season I sorted 80 came in pretty good order. These don't look like they're in good order. They look like they're all over the place. So I got to pay attention, which is not what I was planning on. Here's a combined card. I don't use these. Lee Mace combined card, so I'll put that aside. One of the things I really like about Payoff Pitch is they card every player individually with each team and give you the combined card, so you can play either way. I'm going to do an as played here, so I won't be using the combined. Here's an Oakland, California, Oakland, Cleveland. Nope, we don't have Cleveland yet. Everybody move over. You go in the shower? Yeah, enjoy it. Seattle, that's the one we were missing. Oh, I think I'm going to have a Texas too. Shoot. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be a little short on room here. So let's do this. They just about fit. Yeah, they just fit 1 row across the table if I get them lined up alphabetically and just perfectly. And there's Baltimore to cap things off. You have to run ID. See you later, but be a good time sorting. Enjoy the game. I will, brother. You too. Have a good Saturday. So, but yeah, one of the things I've been struggling with is what the hell to play. And like I said, I'm just going to settle into Payoff Pitch, try to embrace it for a while. I'm at least going to keep it on the table for a month and go from there. And then we will see where we lie. There's a good selection of seasons for Payoff Pitch. I have 4 of them already, so that'll keep me busy for quite a while. It's like a 5 to 6 year project to play all 4 of those easily. And the only one I really want right away that I don't have, that I'll probably pick up when my next expendable pay comes in, is 1986. But I was just wondering if I'm the only one. You guys ever feel another game you want to try a season ticket that looks good? I picked up season ticket. I got 2 seasons for it. Messed around with it, and it didn't stick right away. Again, it's something I'll have to revisit. It's kind of been a year trying new games for me, and that's been a little bit of a problem. One of the things I noticed is before I got involved in the online communities, I was perfectly happy with Stratomatic. I would play Stratomatic forever, and did for 40 years, on and off, and never thought about another game. Tried, shouldn't say never thought about another game. Tried APBA once back in the day because of the APBA computer game That's actually the first PC baseball game that I grew up with. With my friend Jim, we used to play out draft league seasons, where we'd each just draft a couple teams and see what happened, basically. And yeah, just didn't really enjoy the app. Well, that's not true. I went through an app phase. I've tried so many games this year. I've tried Dynasty League this year. All of a sudden, as soon as I got involved with the online communities, especially on Facebook and YouTube, I wanted to try all these new games. And I don't know if that's a good thing. As much as I enjoy the communities, I don't need the constant, oh, what if I played that? Would that be better? Would that be more fulfilling? Like, I don't need that. I need to pick a game and kind of stick with it if I'm ever going to get projects done. So that's where I'm at. These are completely in no order whatsoever that I can tell. Unless they're like going across, and like they might be. I don't know. It doesn't look like that either. So we're just going to work our way through them. It's going to take a good long time. Here's the first Philadelphia card. Don Locke stepping in. He had all 4 bats that season and did not get a hit. So that's interesting. Looks like he can get a walk on a 1. Well, he can get a single on a 1. Kind of a cool card. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Do you guys ever just feel like you have too many, like it's detrimental to try so many games? I sort of miss my devotion to strat, and I play like a modified strat basic when I'm playing solo. I love the super advanced game, but I love it primarily for playing with other people, because the strategy decisions are fun when you're playing against somebody and not as much fun when you're playing yourself, in my opinion, because I tend to overthink them like I do everything. And Swedish Jeff was just talking about overthinking things, and he's having a little bit of that pain starting his 81 APA replay where he wants to do it right, and I get it, especially since he's relatively new to the hobby after a long layoff. It's completely natural to like be trying to figure out what your style is. Superman says to seem to play more realistically, remembering all the checks, charts, trades, real easy to get tripped up. So I had it pretty down, but it's definitely not as quick and smooth an experience as Strat or even Appa Basic. Appa Basic's real smooth. There's almost no decisions to be made except your lineups and what to do with the relievers. And if you're using as played, you don't even really have to worry about that except for the late game subs. Yeah, just close the door. Yeah. And one of the things that's important to me, because of the too many games, or in this case, too many seasons, too little time issue, is how fast I can get through games. And I've concentrated on that to my detriment, I think, to the point where as much as I enjoyed Payoff Pitch the first dozen games of it I played, I found myself wishing I could get through them faster. And that's not the headspace I want to be in, I don't think, when I'm playing replays. Because what I really enjoy about replays, besides playing the game, is taking the time to do some, as I said, a deep dive. Taking the time to research the season. I like to read books and newspaper articles about the season I'm replaying. I like to write about the season I'm playing, whether it's on social media or in a blog form, or even via a YouTube video. Because sharing the replay is a huge part of the fun for me. I know a lot of people could give a crap. They just want to play their games and move on, but I've always been expressive. I've always been a writer at heart. And I love sharing the outcomes of the projects and trying to write up a good recap for a game. Good analysis of what's going on in the season. And when I get away from that, I just enjoy the replay less. So one of my priorities in switching over to this 1969 Payoff Pitch is, number one game on the table. If I feel the need for a break from it, I'm going to go play some PlayStation, or I'll play a board game with the wife on a Friday night. We're trying to reestablish like our game night like we used to have, where we just played different board games and stuff. But as far as everything else goes, it's going to be one game on the table, and it's going to be slow down and take your time and do the stats after each game, write a recap after each game. I'm going to start a blog associated with this. I'm probably going to do like weekly. I don't know what to say. I have to come up with a name for it, but I want to like do like a weekly MLB game of the week, and I also would like to do like a weekly recap on YouTube. What? Washington N? No, there's no Washington N. Is that a misprint? There's no National League Washington team in 69. That's got to be a misprint. So we're going to put him in Washington A. Any of the others say N? That's weird. They do. Wait, do I have? There weren't two Washington teams in 69, were there? No, because I've got 12 teams of each. Confusion. And I'm not going to look it up right now, so we'll just keep going. They're all going in the Washington pile, so I'll have to fix that. I'll fix it later. But I don't remember there being two Washington franchises at once, ever. I could be wrong, but I don't remember it. The journey is the fun to replaying them. Yeah, I agree with you. And if I said, why am I rushing through these games? Like in Strat, I can in Strat Basic, I can play the game in 10 minutes, do the stats in another 5 to 10, depending on how complicated the game was. And so I can roll 4 or 5 games in an hour if I'm just grinding away. But I couldn't tell you what happened 2 games ago because I didn't write anything up about it. I didn't slow down and like think about each decision. I just kind of like blew through the dice rolls. And I'm like, why am I could just be playing on computer if I want to do this. And that's the thing I don't like about playing on computer is it's quick fast. It just kind of goes by and nothing's super memorable for me. So why would I want to play my cards and dice games in a way that resembles what I don't like about the computer games? It just doesn't make any sense. Got a blank card. So, yeah, so we're going to try to do this one. I don't want to say the right way because perfection is the enemy of done, but I want to just take my time with this one. I want to write a recap for each game, however short it may be. I want to write a longer story about games that are really intriguing. And interesting, and possibly even about interesting managerial decisions and that sort of thing. Are we sure they didn't misprint the Washington team as the Pilots? I'm not sure. I do have a Seattle team, so I don't think so. But I have to check who those players are. Like the Washington national team is coming up as Frank Bertana, Joe Coleman, and those are the only 2 cards that say national so far. And in fact, they're both pitcher cards, while all the batter cards say American. So I have a feeling they just printed the pitcher cards wrong. At a guess. And I'll shoot them an email in case nobody else has at this point. But if that's what it turns out to be. Chicago A. Thurman Munson. There he is. Geary died. Right? 79? Oh, that was, no, 79. Yeah, this is 69. So, Thurman was but a young chap just coming into the league in 69. Here's an Ernie Banks. This is a great season, too. I think this is one of the favorites because you've got a lot of big names. A lot. Plus the Miracle Mets. I wonder how they're playing Payoff Pitch. You never heard of Munson until you started playing Strat and watching these videos. Yeah. Yeah, well, if you're a younger guy and you weren't a Yankee fan, he's not. You never hear of him anymore. You just don't. He was my hero when I was very young. I mean, he died when I was only 6 years old, but he was probably my dad's favorite player. I know him and Bobby Mercer were big for my dad, and I'm sure he passed that on to me, which is why Munson sticks out of my head. I can still remember my dad telling me Munson died, and I have no idea at that age what that really meant. Like, I don't think I could even wrap my head around what that actually meant as far as life and death, and never mind the Yankees in the baseball season. There's a Washington A batter's card. So that's one of those things that, like I said, that I've been missing about my replays is just that deep dive kind of feel. I keep saying that, but I don't know how else to describe it. Just want to get in there and take my time, enjoy each game. Yep, and they definitely did this. So there's Jan Dukes, who's 1969 Washington, and so they carded the pitchers as national for some reason, which is doesn't bode well for Washington. I think they have a pretty good team this year, though. I think they have a winning record, which is I think they finish ahead of the Yanks. The Yanks are terrible in '69, if I remember. I haven't played. I had the '69 Strat set. I never did too much with it for whatever reason. Need a little drink of water here. But Baltimore tore through the '69 AL with 109 wins. Yeah, it's not a pennant race season really. It's definitely more of a watch the stars play season. There's definitely better pennant races out there. Although I hear at least in Strat, I know the Mets make it interesting because they don't play well as carded. So I'm curious as to how that's going to go here. McBean. Here's Frank Bertina on Baltimore. That's the other thing I love about Payoff Pitch. I think I said this earlier today already, is that they card each player for each team they're on for the at-bats on that team. And they give you the totals card if you want it. And it's not based on at-bats or anything. Like, if he played on a team, he's got a card for that team and the totals card. So if you're doing draft leagues, you've got that option. Hey, we're through the first stack. 5 to go. But also they put the dates that guys were on the team when they played for multiple teams. I wish they put the dates for all of them because it would cut down on my research necessary to get the rosters pretty close. What I actually do instead is I go to Baseball Sim Research with Ron Bernier's site, which is where I get everything really. He's got the Payoff Pitch score sheets up there now, which is awesome. I just printed the first 20 games this morning as well as the stat keeping sheets. And the other thing I'll utilize a lot is the player appearance grids. And what I do is before each week, I go through the appearance grid for each team and I will pick out the players who played during that week. I used to do it by series, but it became a little, it really bogged me down. And sometimes, depending on how a series went, there still weren't enough guys to field a full roster. So, like, if you had two guys pitch 2 complete games and in real life, and then the third game was like the starter went 7, and then a reliever came in and closed it out or mopped it up or whatever, and then your replay went completely differently, and you got your starter's getting shellacked and has to come out in the third. You don't have enough bullpen to go through. If I was only doing per series. So what now I do is per calendar week. So basically Monday to Sunday, because most series end on a Sunday. Monday to Sunday, if the guy was on the roster, he's eligible to play. And I just try to keep it simple that way. So I don't worry about a day-to-day roster move or anything like that. I just figure if he's on the roster for the week, I can use him that week. And that keeps usage pretty good in line. I don't try to figure out which pitcher pitched on which day as far as relievers or which guy pitched hit which day. I just figure if they're on the roster that week, I can use them. The only thing I pay attention to is having that many cards makes storage something of a pain. It can, Phoenix Knight. I find they fit pretty well in, weirdly enough, the boxes that Appa ships their card sets in. And you can actually get those at Staples. And there's also lots of plastic options, but so I don't mind storage too much. Also, these are, what do you call it? Pretty glossy cards. So while I'm playing a season, I don't worry too much about rubber band because they're going to be in and out of the rubber bands daily. Much. Um, so I'll just rubber band these with Strat rubber bands because I have a ton of extras of those from ordering so many seasons over the years. And then when it's time to be done with the season, I'll probably sleeve it and sell it. To be honest with you, because I'm 51 and I hope to have a real long run here with plenty of time to hang out with my family and play plenty of seasons. But the truth is, I don't want to leave an accumulation of crap to be um, thrown away or sold off when I eventually am not on this planet anymore and move on to the next stage of whatever existence we have. So I think my new pattern is going to be to play a season, finish a season, and either sell or gift that season on to someone who will use it or wants to collect it. I think my collecting days are pretty much over from a pure space standpoint and from even books, man. I have so many books and I read 1 to 2 books a week, and we've only lived in this house 3 years. I brought no books with me; they were all in storage, and my bookshelves are already full. The ones behind me are actually the to be reds. Yeah, I've got a problem. So there's a double deep shelf over here of to be reds, and there's another shelf below it of paperbacks that are to be read because I just kind of grab books when they're on discount or whatever, and I have to stop doing that as well. Because now I'm going to get rid of all these. I'm going to donate them or um, whatever. They're taking up too much space. Um, I'm trying to use the library more. If I would just have one hobby, I would probably get through either of these things a lot quicker. But what the hell? Variety is the spice of life, right? In Indestructo mailers, you can get a set of 100 from where you work for decently cheap. Nice, man. That's good. We bought clear totes at Menards this morning that are close to shoebox size, and they seem to fit a group of envelopes pretty good. Nice. Yeah, I just can't keep stocking stuff up. I've got a closet full of baseball seasons right now of various games. And again, I only brought 3 seasons with me. Everything else was in storage, and I've already got, what, probably 30 boxes in there. So something's got to give. Just from an economic standpoint, too, the amount of money that I have tied up in stuff that's sitting in a closet or in a storage unit not being used is crazy. And I'm getting over the collection stage of my life, I guess, and starting to get into I got to get rid of some of the shit stage. So hopefully I'm paying attention here. Yeah, they definitely carded there's Jim Hannon, who I know was on the Senators, and they carded him as Washington and as a pitcher. So that's what they did somehow. A little tiny misprint. At least it's not like Chicago or New York where you'd be like, which team is he supposed to be on? Damn it, he made a mistake. Forget it. I'm off payoff pitch, going back to Strat. Just kidding. But what the hell was I talking about? I don't even know. Oh, so yeah, then what I'll do is well, I already talked about that. I'll use the Rombo player appearance grids to set the rosters for the week, and then every Monday in the calendar, I'll reset the rosters, and that pretty much takes care of injuries, takes care of usage, and yeah, I don't know. I can't. Hey, more power to you. Do what you want, but I don't know how people look at every box score and like want to only use the guys that played on a given day. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me because that's a weird one. He's got no color coding on that card. Just a black and white snuck in there. Of course, he pitched 1 game in 1/3 of an inning and gave up a homer. So he gives up 90 homers per 9 innings pitched. It's a good card. It's a lot of ballpark there for Marty Martinez. Oh, so that's the other thing I'll try to pay attention to is I pay pretty close attention to making sure guys who were rookies or made their major league debut start on the right day, so they won't be eligible early. But other than that, I just use them as I see fit. and go with that. Oakland. This is going to take a while. But that's all right. I have nothing to do today. Wife and I agreed to just relax this morning. We've already gotten plenty of productivity done. We're thinking about maybe going down to the boardwalk later in Point Pleasant, but we haven't decided yet. We both got a little stressed out with the absolute need to rearrange half our living room this morning. It's also why consolidating my collection's on my mind, because I can't keep adding to it and just. I'm paying $250 a month for a 10 by 10 storage unit that's full to the ceiling of primarily entertainment. Cool rainy day there. Nice. We lucked out this week with the weather for our vacation. It's been beautiful literally every day. The one day it was supposed to rain, it rained overnight and in the morning, and then cleared up all day. That was actually yesterday, or not, Thursday. So we went to her aunt's pool yesterday and just hung out. I got to start the new Reacher book that I haven't read from last year. That was good. Moved through about half of that while we were sitting at the pool. And yeah, today I get to just kind of chill out. We'll probably go out to dinner tonight or the boardwalk, or both. Then tomorrow we're going for a hike. Yeah, no, it's expensive here, man. I mean, everything's expensive in Jersey. But yeah, it's not quite 250. I think it's like 227 or something. But and I think when I signed up for it was 90, and I probably had it since my divorce, which was or since I moved out, which was like 2017 or 2018. And it's just gone up a little bit every year. And then one year, I think the year after COVID, they doubled it. And yeah, I think in 2001 they doubled it from like 110 to 220, and then it's just been going up $1 or $2 the last couple of years. But that's a vacation chunk of change that I'm spending on a storage unit. So I'd like to get that cleared out this summer. We're probably going to sell most of the games off because we're just not going to play them. I do have an attic here, so we'll put some of them up there, the ones I really want to keep. But yeah, I mean, everything's more than doubled here. I don't know what the economy's like out by you, but fortunately, my real estate has also more than doubled. Like I said, we have a tiny house we bought for what, $95,000. We downsized from a 3-bedroom condo almost 4 years ago. 3 years ago? 4 years ago? I guess it'll be 4 years this year. And bought this for $95,000, and now it's worth like $225, and it's tiny. I can't even imagine, but it's such an affordable place that it would easily sell for that, and that's so far under market value around here. Like I live like next to 3 of the most affluent towns in the world. I live 2 towns over from Rumson, which is the #1 household income in the world. So yeah, we're just in that kind of area. So it's good for salaries and stuff like that, but it sucks for everything else. There's lots of boutique grocery stores, and I mean everything's available here, but everything's expensive. I think we're the second most expensive place to live now, except for California. So, which is why I feel a house in North Carolina in my future. But in order to do that, I got to stop paying $250 a month for things like storage units that hold games I'll probably never play again. A couple of combined cards. So I'm looking forward to getting the season started. Probably play a game or 2 today, if time allows. And I'm just gonna take it slow, man. I'm gonna start a blog. I'm gonna write up a little thing for each game. I have no idea what the blog will be called. Probably JC Sports Replays 1969 or something like that. I'll post links to it if you guys want to follow along. I'll also try to post the games on social media. And I'm going to start playing a few games back on the channel as I get into routine again with work picking back up next week. The very honest reason for my drop off for a couple of months was I just wasn't paying enough attention to the stuff I was supposed to. I was not being healthy. For those of you who don't know, I survived and had a triple bypass last May, which is what really got me back into playing a lot of different games and trying out different stuff while I had some downtime. But I wasn't taking care of my health. I had stopped exercising the way I'm supposed to. I was feeling overwhelmed at work. I was drinking too much. I wasn't eating right. So I just had to take a minute to focus back on my priorities. And I've dropped 10 pounds in the last 2 months and have started exercising again, and have started drinking only on weekends and a lot less. And really being careful about what I put in my body. This was kind of becoming a lot of my streams were accompanied by a glass of wine or a couple of glasses of bourbon or whatever, and that's not good long term. So where I'm at was 700 a few years ago. It's now 900. You cannot. That's insane. You're also sharing with a roomie in place now, lucky to find a small one bedroom for less than $1,000. So if you were to, I could rent this place right now without doing any of the fixes up we want, and there's the exact same unit I have that's not even, they didn't redo the kitchen, they didn't redo the bathroom. It's just kind of the way it was back in 1960. We have a nice sized yard. Actually, we have a yard that's 3 times the size of the house, and it's fenced in, and it's great for the dogs, and it's super quiet in this neighborhood. And like I said, we have everything around here. But if I were to rent this place right now, I'd get at least $3,000 a month for a 1 bedroom, and it would be considered a bargain. If you go into Red Bank, or if you go to the condos around here and you want to rent something like a 1 bedroom, 1 bath in like a gated community, which is what a lot of it is around here, or even the garden apartments, you're starting at $3,600 a month. So, yeah, this would be an incredible bargain. My mortgage plus my HOA is it's different, yeah. It's different. I wish we lived in a cheaper place and things were cheaper. I wouldn't mind making less. I took a couple of promotions just to increase my salary to a point where we're comfortable. And my wife just took a new job and got an 11 grand raise, which was fantastic. But it's, with inflation the last couple of years, it's necessary. It's not even like that's going to jump us way ahead. That's just going to get us back to where we were 2 years ago. So, hold on a sec. Just want to make sure I'm doing it right. See, I haven't seen hide nor hair of $1,000 rent around this area in probably 15 years. Even when I moved to Jersey back, 23, 24 years ago, it was, I think we were paying $700 for a 1 bedroom back then. So, and that was one of the cheaper apartments available. So, we're both fortunate to have solid jobs. We're both in finance, or banking, or whatever you want to say. I'm not a banker, believe me. I fell into this, but it's just glorified retail. It really is. I'm pretty good at it, and I won't say I like it, but I don't mind it. And I like being part of a community because I'm a retail banker. So there's elements of it that I really enjoy, and then there's elements of it that are just pure customer service hell. So it's probably like anything. There's pluses and minuses, and it is what you make of it, right? So, Bill Singer action, Los Angeles. Roy Face, he just blew a save last night in my 62 Strat replay. Montreal. Jim McAndrew, Tony Dukes for San Diego. But what else do I love about Payoff Pitch? I love the delivery. I love the way you roll on the picture card sort of first, even though you're kind of rolling them at the same time. The picture card dictates what you're reading on the batter card. I really like that mechanic. It adds a little bit of excitement to the game without slowing it down at all, honestly. Yeah, you're looking at 2 different cards to find a result, but it's very quick once you get used to it. Second stack down. Moving on to the third stack of 6 here. And I love the quality of the cards. It's a huge upgrade over Strat. And I'm not, guys, I'm not bad mouthing Strat. It's my first love. It'll always be my first love. But you know, I had a first wife too, and that didn't work out. So nothing wrong with trying stuff out until you find the one that really grooves with you. We're not hurting anybody here. It's just a hobby. So I'm sure my first wife would love being compared to Stratomatic as something I'm leaving behind. Or at least taking a little break from. I'm going to try really hard to stick through this replay and not put any other baseball games on the table for the next year and a half. Assessment of what I want to do, I think, moving forward. Meanwhile, I start a little store selling off Stratomatic stuff and books. Books are just impossible to sell, though. There's worse out there, right? Yep. It isn't just pitcher and old batter like the 50-50 of Strat. The cards are much more durable, though you notice a bit of weird aroma when sorting your cards. Must be the print chemicals. Yeah, there is definitely like a kind of a new car smell almost when you open the package. I noticed that too. But something's going to kill me. Might as well be something I love. I don't mean my wife. Don't get any ideas, honey. La la la, California. Jim Spencer, Shane Spencer's dad. I wonder how he felt about Shane breaking the picket line back in the day during this baseball strike. Shane was one of those guys who played against the union and could never be part of the union. I always wondered how those guys worked out. The ones who actually stuck around in the majors for a little while after. I wonder who the best player is who broke the picket line. I couldn't tell you. Remember when Bonds wouldn't let you put his name on cards or in video games? That was really annoying. He refused to be part of the players' union because he was a psychopath and thought he was bigger than everybody else and wanted to get his money. That guy really endeared himself to the fans, didn't he? If you weren't watching him play and hit homers for you in San Fran, you probably hated the dude. I had a lot of fun watching him. I didn't care about that back then. I think I heard about most of the Bond stuff after the fact. It's hard to remember though what colored my perceptions of people going back in time. You just know how you feel about them now. I feel Barry should be in the Hall. I think they should let everybody in the Hall because it was just a sign of the times. And to try to figure out who was doing what is ridiculous. They were the best players of their era, and their era was marked by steroid use. Just like the 60s were marked by people popping greenies and using methamphetamines. And God knows what they were doing in the 20s and 30s, man. But can you imagine what it was like being a ball player in the roaring 20s? What those guys were probably getting away with? So let's keep it between the lines and let guys who achieve certain things in the sport get the credit they deserve for that and stop worrying about all the other stuff. The only stuff I don't agree with is when you compromise the integrity of the sport. Well, I mean, the steroids do that. Don't get me wrong, but right, the 2000 season didn't print his name on the card. That's right. But like the gambling to me is a big thing, and I have a weird thing about gambling. I was a professional gambler for 12 years, professional poker player in my 20s, and loved it. Had a great time with it. Never gambled outside of poker. Never considered because if you have a skill at something and you constantly make money at it, it's hard to call it gambling. It was gambling for the other people. But as a banker now, I see so many people throwing their hard-earned money away and in a way that's so completely irresponsible. You know, not able to pay their bills, overdrawing their accounts, clearly in the throes of addiction. Um, so I'm not a, and it's mostly sports gambling, and I'm just not a fan of it for those reasons.
Can you take a pause for a second?
Not really. What's up?
I want you to put this on.
Oh yeah. Excuse me, guys. I have to help my wife with something. I'll be right back. I need to stretch anyway.
You need to keep this up.
Yeah.
You remember how to do them, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, my love. Thank you, my love.
You're welcome. Yeah. Sports gambling is rigged, probably. I mean, that's why there's odds. It's not like you just get to bet on whoever's winning or losing. Obviously, they're putting odds on it to make sure they're going to make money. And when they have, that's the basic of it, is when there's too many bets going on one side, they change the odds so more people want to bet the other side. So they're manipulating where the money goes to make sure they make a profit. And I know there are people who beat sports gambling as well. So maybe I shouldn't separate it from poker, because there are people who can professionally sports gamble. But and there are probably just as many people back when I was playing poker who lost their mortgage to me, and I didn't even realize it. Or at least maybe I like to think I didn't realize it, because you could tell who was gambling with money they shouldn't have gambled with, gambling with money they should have been using for something else. You could tell whose families were waiting at home for them, and to me that's a big thing, because my dad was never home, not because of gambling but because of drinking. So go home, take care of your kids. You know, put the money in the bank, or at least put the money toward taking care of them if you don't have enough money to put in the bank. You know. But anyway, I digress. This was supposed to be about too many games, too little time, and yeah, it's one of those paralysis by having too many choices things, right? They have connections to the on-field teams, the officials to nudge the game a certain way. Boy, I hope that's not true, Ben. But if that was true, I don't think I'd ever be able to watch sports again. I feel like that about the NBA sometimes. I really hope there's too much to control in baseball, but there's probably not, and I'm probably being naive. I'd just like to see it be played fairly. Isn't there enough money to be made just playing it fairly? People say baseball's dying, but look at the contracts these guys sign. Look at the money the owners have to throw at their teams. You know, the Yankees are complaining because their payroll is going to be $300 million. Like, well, that's a choice you made, dude. And you're going to tell me that you're not making that back in revenue? I find it hard to believe that a team like the Yankees isn't able to cover $300 million in payroll plus their operating expenses, unless the owner just isn't happy with what's going in his pocket. He hate the way all major sports are going. Between that, the big money by owners and players, the ridiculous cost to view a game. Absolutely. In one sense, that's why you're getting more into playing sports sims of previous seasons when it was better. I pretty much agree with you, Ben. I used to really like keeping up with the current seasons, and as time has gone on, I have definitely taken my gaming back to older seasons. Whereas when I got into the hobby, I had no interest in older seasons. None. Zero. I was like, oh, cool. You know, Babe Ruth. That was a guy who played, 100 years ago. Now it's like, oh yeah, I want to play a Babe Ruth season. I wish there was enough time to recreate everybody's career. There's not. There never will be, which is one of the tough parts, and one of the too many games or too many seasons, too little time. I want to find a good basketball game to play. I want to put a good football game on my tabletop. I even want to put a good hockey game on my tabletop. I have a boxing game, Glory Days Boxing, that I haven't even opened yet. Well, I've opened it and organized it. I haven't tried it. I haven't even tried to learn it, because there's so many things I just want to do in baseball. So, California, here I come. There are a lot of players for some of these teams, and we're only halfway through the decks. They look bigger too, though, the cards, because or the stacks, because the cards are so much thicker than I'm used to with Strat or even Appa. They're even thicker than the Appa cards, I think. People were talking about rounding the edges. I don't know. They're going to get rounded anyway from playing with them. So. I can't believe I am enjoying following the Yanks this year, though. Watching Judge hit 2 homers yesterday when I watched the highlights this morning. And he's got 20 at the end of May. So in my mind, that's on pace for another 60-homer season if he can stay healthy. And he had the greatest month in Yankee history in terms of extra base hits. So that's pretty crazy. And I think he's got the 3rd greatest extra base hit month. There's only 3 guys ever. I might be getting this wrong, but I think there's only 3 guys ever who had 25 or more extra base hits in baseball history since like 1909 or something. And one of them is Ty Cobb, one of them is Aaron Judge, and one of them is a guy whose name I can't remember. It played in like the 30s. But yeah, so, but even there, like, yeah, exactly, Ben. That's crazy. Even viewing the Yankees and being really excited about this team this year, I watched purely highlights. I've watched one game, partly because I don't have cable anymore, so I watched the game on Prime. It was terrible. They cannot seem to stream a game without the game getting interrupted by buffering and issues and kicking you out of the game and you have to go back in. And the only reason I was able to sit through that whole game was because I was playing something on my tabletop at the time. So I didn't even sit there and watch it. So I've lost that ability to sit there and watch something for 3 hours, even if it's something I love. I have to be doing 2 things at once. This is what the world of cell phones and social media and instant gratification have done to us, right? So here we are. And I think that's also part of the reason, like I was talking about, I don't think I ever cared about how many seasons I could play or how much time I had or which seasons to play or what games I was playing until I got involved in YouTube and social media with this community. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got to try that. Oh, this looks really cool. Oh, I want to play that season. Oh, I want to play that game. And then the next thing you know, you can't get anything done. I can't get anything done. And I'm playing 6 different things at once. And I'm wondering why I'm not enjoying it. So here's my deep breath. Take a step back. Play a game that I've just started learning pretty well. And get really into it. Just like I did with Strat back in the day. And we'll see how it goes. If nothing else, it'll be an exercise in discipline. And that's a really good thing, because that translates to every other area of your life. And that's something that's really important to me. My most viewed YouTube video thus far on this channel is actually a short I did called 30 Minutes for 30 Years. And I recently changed my Instagram account to match that title. And I'm just trying to keep track of health and fitness over 50 on there and what I'm doing to stay healthy and get in great shape for the first time in a long time and recover from a triple bypass and try to live a long, healthy, happy life with all the things I love doing and most importantly the people I love being with. It's so important to just keep the priorities in order and realize that, like, hey, 3rd stack's down. Realize that as much as I enjoy doing all this stuff, I got to get up every morning and I got to get that exercise in. And I got to be careful what I put in my body because it's kind of weird with my head off, right? You can't even see the card, so I'm just going to go up here a little. There we go. It's a little bit better. Now you can see puppies too. Like, no matter, there'll be way too many games and way not enough time if I don't put my health as my #1 priority. And I feel like there's a lot of guys, mostly guys. I mean, how many women are in our community? Not a lot, right? Not a lot of women play these games for whatever reason. My wife would say she's too busy doing other stuff, but not really. She doesn't resent this at all. She actually really appreciates when I play it and enjoy it, and only gets concerned when I'm sort of combining it with other bad habits or she sees me getting anxious about something that should be fun, right? Because I'm overthinking or trying to do too much. But if I don't take care of my health and I don't prioritize that exercise and what I put in my mouth every day, um, there definitely won't be enough time to play anywhere near all the games. So that's a weird motivator, but it's a true motivator. And I just feel like if I can communicate that to some of the guys in our community and help people live a better life, a healthier life, so that they can get more games in and spend more time with their loved ones, then I must be doing something right. So that's kind of becoming a little bit of my alternative purpose to this channel, is to talk a little bit about mental and physical health too. So, you had a psychiatrist tell you once that you way overthink. I don't have to have anybody tell me that. I know that. I've done it my whole life, and I've gotten better at it in certain arenas, like work. Because I was stagnant for a long time at a job because I couldn't get off the pot, so to speak. I couldn't make a decision. I couldn't stick with a path, and I finally have sort of overcome that where it's needed. But then that anxiety translates into my hobbies, which really sucks. By the way, really sucks. You responded to him and told him Americans don't think enough. You're 51 as well, and you deal with diabetes type 2. That's tough, man. It's tough. Are you still overweight, or have you ever been overweight? I'm making an assumption because you can have diabetes without being overweight, which I didn't know. I'm about 40 pounds overweight. I'm right under 220 right now, right at 220, I guess, and I'd like to be about 180. My doctor would like to see me under 200. I really want to get down to 180. That's my sort of my 1 year goal. So we actually started an accountability group with family and friends this week. We're going on a hike tomorrow together. It's only a weekend, but whether everybody else sticks to it or not, I'm sticking to it. And it's helpful to have people on your team. You're 210 here? Yeah, so I need to get down under 190. I feel like 180 would be probably pretty ideal. I don't want to not have any muscle. I'd actually like to build some muscle back up. I understand that's really important as you get older. I want to make sure I focus on things like mobility and flexibility. I don't care if I can bench, back in high school I could bench like 360 or something when I was playing football. Now I probably couldn't bench 2 plates, and it's not important. So every time I go to the gym, I want to for a long time I was trying to go back to high school mode, and I would always hurt myself. Now I'm just like, all right, get your cardio in, do a little strength training, do what's comfortable. Well, not completely comfortable. You got to be a little uncomfortable to grow, but yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. It's hard. It's one of the hardest things because there's so many habits to change that affect it, but the nutrition is so damn important. But I just keep trying. And if I miss a day, then I miss a day, and I don't let that become like, oh, I got to start all over now. No, just keep going. Just don't miss 2 days in a row. Definitely don't miss 3 days in a row. Eat crappy one day, don't eat crappy the next day. Enjoy a holiday, enjoy a vacation a little bit, but don't do it to the overall detriment of your long-term health. And I'm just trying to keep it simple. Focus on, basic habits that over the long term will build a healthy life. So, my wife struggles with her weight too. She always has her whole life. And we're in it together. She's 9 years younger than me almost. So a big part of my motivation to get in shape is to make sure that she does not spend 30 years by herself. It's super important to me that, she might remarry or whatever, but whatever that would be, it would be a tragedy because that would mean I died young. And even if she moved on and found other ways to be happy, that would mean that I didn't get to spend time with her too. So, that's when I don't want to go to the gym or when I want to put something stupid in my mouth. Oops. Messing up some Chicago's here. I'll have to double check the teams like Chicago and New York where they have a city in each, just to make sure I put the cards in the right stack when I'm done. But yeah, I just want to make sure that we have as much time together as possible because we found each other later in life, and you know, I want to treasure every moment of it. So, yeah, about a half a stack to go here, and then we got 2 stacks left. So, and part of that is just knowing what's important and what's not important. And in the grand scheme of things, like how many games I play, not important. But if it helps motivate me to get in better shape so that I have a longer time to play them and I can enjoy them, um, then that's a good thing, right? So, but if it gets to the point where, again, they're accompanied by bad habits like drinking too much or having a snack every time I sit down to play, which frankly I would never do. It actually keeps me from eating because I don't want to get any food grease on the cards. So I don't even let like food come near this table. um, it's weird little motivations, right? There's Jim Bouton Seattle card. It's a fun team, and that was a really good book. Rest in peace, Mr. Bouton. That was a wonderful piece of writing he did with Ball Four. If you haven't read that, give it a try. Steve Hamilton of the New York Yankees. I wonder how they. I wonder how they end up in this order. It's just weird to me. I'm not complaining. I like the sorting process, but it's a strange thing that they're completely randomly organized. Like how do they know all the cards are here? It's got to be quite the quality control process. San Fran, Atlanta, Mike McQueen, Dennis Rebont. I don't know him. I don't know that name. I love the ballpark cards too. Love them. Angel Stadium of Anaheim with the implant in the wheelhouse. The only thing that'd be cool is if they really cool is if they had like a faded picture of the stadium in the background or something. Um, and these cards are rife for modification with the blank backs. It would be really cool if like I know Chris White does that for some Apple cards. If you could have like the picture of the stadium on the back or the player's baseball card on the back. Um, I think for all that we talk about what game engines work and stuff, and what game is better and or people enjoy more for whatever reason, the the company that comes out with the full licensing, right, has a solid game like a Payoff Pitch, a Strat, an Appa, a season ticket, any of the really solid replay. I'm sure I'm missing others. There's a lot of really good, accurate games out there that just cater to different play styles. But any game that's sufficiently accurate that were to have that kind of licensing, where you would have the players like baseball card on the back, they just won. They won the damn tabletop gaming Olympics. They're going to get the lion's share of the profits over the long run, in my opinion. I also think that there's like a place for um, what Strat's doing with Baseball Express. I think it's a really interesting and underutilized thing where you do like random teams. Like it'd be really cool to be able to like go by like a team in a box, right? And you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know which players you're going to get. You just know you're going to have enough to field every position. And then you'd have to like play like a Magic the Gathering style tournament against other people or something. You wouldn't be able to afford the game. You're probably right. And sports board game simulations is a niche market. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure like what Out of the Park does is much more popular because people are going to play the games on the PC. Um, but you're right. It's probably not remotely cost efficient or even possible for what they would charge for that kind of licensing, unless Tops, who already had the licensing, like or one of the big, ball baseball card producers who already had the licensing, bought the rights to do one of the games and just combined them. Um, since they were doing it already. Like, remember they used to print there was a basic game you could play with the Topps cards back in the 70s and 80s where, like, on the back would be like single, home run, strikeout, just on the back of the card. It had nothing to do with the player's card. It was just, you could use them like a deck of cards, and you would be like, see what each guy did just by flipping the next card. I played the hell out of that before I discovered Strat, honestly. It's probably my gateway drug to Stratomatic and why I was so excited when I found out about Strat back in the day. Tommy Davis combined. Jim Pagliaroni. There's some Bill McNulty action. Don't know who this guy is. Joe Nosek. 11 at bats. Went 1 for 9 against lefties and 0 for 2 against righties. Some interesting cards. Well, I've talked all over the place today. I feel like I'm rambling in a million different directions, but that's all right. You can talk about whatever you guys want. Otherwise, I'll just keep rambling. 6 to 10-year-old playing that, you didn't care about the accuracy. It was just playing baseball and it was fun. Exactly. Exactly right. Don't you miss that simplicity? It's one of the things that our innocence is definitely lost, right? As we get older. And all of a sudden you want the complexity to a point. And then I think after you, like, I was really into Super Advanced Strat when I first got back into the game in my early to mid 30s, and like did a whole draft league and like played out, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of games and kept every stat, including fielding stats by hand. I would just sit there at night watching ball games and doing that when I had nothing else to do. And like, as time went on, I wanted less and less of that complexity and more of just like getting back to that simplicity of enjoying something like I did when I was a kid. So, and I'm pretty much there now. I want sufficient complexity that I know the game's pretty accurate, but that it doesn't bog me down. Like the Appa Master game, I tried learning that. I didn't give it a fair try. I'll be honest with you, because it was just too complex. I was like, I knew just from trying to learn it that it was not what I was looking for in my baseball sims. It was definitely not, like, if I wanted that kind of complexity, I'd just play Strat Super Advanced, and I'd use all the bells and whistles and feel like it was a more accurate and more fun game for me, because the Master game, if you're new to it today, it's so far away. The Appa Master game is so far away from the playability of anything that's come out recently, that if it's not like your first love, I don't know why you would play it. I just don't get it. More power to you. Love what you love. It's just not for me, is really what I'm saying. And I knew that within 2 days of trying to learn it. I was like, hell no. This is nuts. There's way too much to keep straight. And it's not in any way intuitive. The number of symbols you need to know, the number of calculations you need to do on the fly, the fact that it's like on a 1 to 36 grid, and you have to, I don't know, whatever. I'm getting too far into it. Compared to Strikeout. Oh, all right, I know what it is. And I know it's a 50-50 engine, and people, no game's perfect. No game's perfect. And there's more than 100 different baseball sims. And it's crazy that everybody just wants a slightly different flavor, right? But that's a beautiful thing. I mean, we can all have our own flavor. I like multiple flavors. Like, I don't like bleak. Dave was talking about that on one of his streams. I don't know if it was the podcast or if it was just Dave streaming one night, but he was talking about, like how it's okay to like different games. And first thing I thought of is like, I have a regular restaurant I like to go to. Right, the wife and I like to go there. We sit at the bar. We know what we're going to get. I usually get one of two things. We go there at least once a month. And I look forward to it. But we go out to eat once a week. If I had to eat at the same restaurant every day or every Friday night or whatever, and they only had those two options, I'd be I'd be really bored and really dissatisfied really quickly. And I think it's the same with games. I like, even though I have favorite games and games I like prefer to spend my time with, I like to try something new every once in a while. So I think variety is definitely important. Um, it'd be interesting if we had all these games available back before the digital age, right? So like when we were growing up, Ben, because we're the same age, right? So you're born in '73 or '72, depending on when. I'm January 1st, so my the year I'm born is always how old I am. Um, like as soon as it's a new year, I'm a new year older. But if we had all these choices back then, first of all, the bigger part in my decision making process, to be honest, because I would have been on a much more, not that I'm not on a fixed income now, but I have a little more flexibility right now, like than I did when I was 12. Um, Even when I was working on jobs, I definitely didn't have a plethora of expendable cash. Um, if I wanted to go out to the movies with my friends and hit the arcade, and God forbid I was dating, like that's where all the money went. 72, yeah. So you're a little older than me. Um, but yeah, if I had to pick between all these games back then, price would be a big factor. Um, but then it would also be interesting to see which ones played, because I played Strat with friends. You know, I had like, four guys who we used to play Strat, pretty regularly, probably every weekend for a long time, for at least a couple of years. And that was just because that's the game we know. Like, I guess if you grew up in a different part of the country, because we're in New York, right? I grew up in New York. I grew up in the Bronx, and Strat's a Long Island company, so they were like you would walk into Toys R Us or KB Toys or Herman Sporting Goods, and they sold Stratomatic right there. So when you thought about which baseball game you wanted to play, and it was clear from looking at Strat compared to um, some of the other offerings like the Catico All-Star Baseball or whatever that might have been on the shelf from like Milton Bradley, you knew which game was going to be a more serious baseball game. So that was how we made our choice. You know, there's a lot of combined total cards this year. There must have been a lot of trades. But now, if we had 100 plus games to choose from, the first thing I would look at would be price. And then the second thing I would care about would be like, where's the accuracy, right? Whereas now I think I look at a lot more to make a decision. Like I had to try 6, 7 different baseball games this year outside of Strat to first of all establish that, I probably want to go back to Strat for ease of play. And then once I did that, establish that, okay, that's still not what I'm looking for. Which of the games that I tried did I enjoy most? And for me, it was Payoff Pitch, without a doubt, which is why I've already picked up 4 seasons. But it's just funny how much we complicate things as we get older. Right, babe?
Yes, my love. Are you
Indeed.
hungry?
Not really.
Okay.
Oh, what time is it?
10 after 11.
Yeah, no, it's kind of early.
Oh,
Hey, these are in order. What happened? Suddenly I got to a little stretch here where everything was in order. But nope, they're jumping around again. The grass is always greener for sure. Bigger and better. Yeah, I never realized I was susceptible to that because I don't care about a lot of things. Like, I've never been a car guy. I never wanted the biggest house. Like, to me, it was always just security and simplicity. But I guess where it bleeds over for me is in gaming. I was the same way with video games. I always wanted to, I was always a completionist. I always wanted to finish stuff, but I would always get distracted by the next thing. I was never good enough, honestly, to, blow through video games. And then I end up playing. Well, I started with EverQuest as far as MMOs, because I was always a big RPG guy. And then when World of Warcraft came out, that was the next 10 years of my gaming life. I barely played anything else for a decade, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. And I was that was like my strat journey too, I guess. It was like, oh, there's all these other kind of games you want to play. Well, I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. But then when it came to like solo gaming, and I had some time and I had some, I was out of my 20s. I didn't just want to go to the bar every night anymore. I was married, so I wasn't looking to meet girls. So I was looking for something to do in my own time that kind of got me away from the computer, and that's when I got back to Strat. And honestly, the only reason I got back to Strat is because I walked into a game store and saw it on the shelf. We never went looking for it. Would have never thought, oh, I'd like to go back to that hobby. It was more of a, oh crap, they sell Stratomatic? I was there looking for D&D minis for like a new game we were starting, and there was like 6 boxes of Stratomatic on the shelf with different seasons, and I was like, oh shoot. And I think it was 2000 and, let's say it was 2001. 2008, probably. Yeah, I think it was the 2008 season I picked up. And that was it. I was like, oh man, I forgot all about this. I only ever had one card set when I was growing up. But then once I opened up that 2008 season and started playing that, I played a few games to like learn the game, and then I started playing a draft league. And the reason I started playing a draft league, it's funny. Wait, Ben says, so over the last 30 years you went from chess to Scrabble to cribbage to darts. Oh wow. Interesting. So you were always like staying away from the digital stuff, and you were always hanging out with the more tactile in-person stuff, huh? But the reason when I bought 2008, I remember this now because I'm thinking about it, that I started a draft league was because the first thing I wanted to do was replay the Yankees season. Not into video games after your high school years. Man, you're lucky. I would have had a lot more productive 20s and 30s if I hadn't been into video games. Or maybe not. I probably would have just found something else to do with my time. I wanted to replay the Yankee season, and this was kind of, they probably had message boards out back then. I'm sure they did, actually. I mean, obviously there was internet in 2008. I just don't remember what it looked like. Like, where was I going for my primary internet usage? I have no idea. But I wanted to, I don't know if it was Baseball Reference or what, but I wanted to replay the Yankee season, and I wanted to do it with the, like, basically, I didn't know it was called an as played at the time, but I thought I wanted to do an as played replay. And first game, I remember this first Yankee game. I couldn't field the whole team because I didn't have all the cards. You've been on the internet since '90. Yeah, I probably have too. I mean, I remember AOL. I remember CompuServe. I remember all that stuff, but I don't remember what specifically I was spending time online doing. And I certainly don't remember. Oops. Which websites I was going to for sports information, even in 2008 or 2009, to figure out how to do an as-played Yankee season. But yeah, first game, I was like, I can't field the whole team. I remember telling my ex-wife, I was like, I don't even have all the cards to like do this project. And I don't think I knew there were forums where I could discuss that. So, and like try to figure out what other people did. So I just ended up shuffling all the cards and doing my own draft league. And man, that was fun. Really was. But even back then, I guess I wanted to do an as played and couldn't because I was using a game that didn't have all the. I don't know if there was a game that had all the cards back then, other than I'm sure there were computer games. I'm sure like Diamond Mine had full rosters even back then. I remember playing Diamond Mine. I remember playing Baseball Mogul before Out of the Park was a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Or before I knew Out of the Park was a thing, anyway.
Hello.
Need a little sip of water here. So did you roll any games in '83 yet, Ben? And then I remember discovering Strat had well. First of all, I think I bought probably within 3 years. I bought everything, every card set for baseball Strat had to offer, and then I just kept up with them year to year. And then as I realized there were sets out there on eBay for reasonable prices for years I couldn't get, I started picking those up until I literally built 2 end tables out of Strat boxes, just because I didn't have any place to put them. He's got a problem. No, no problem. Just lots of Strat. And I don't know when it occurred to me that I'd never be able to play them all. I'm sure it did at some point. And I tried to do short seasons, and I did that for a while. And then I tried to join a league, and I did that 3 times. And all 3 times I got disenchanted pretty quickly, for various reasons. Apparently I just don't play well with others. I just don't have patience for other people's idiosyncrasies, I suppose. And maybe I'm a little bit of a control freak when it comes to my gaming. So here I am doing solo stuff. If I could find a group of guys to like play regularly with now, I probably would. But face to face would be different. Online just didn't do it for me. So sorting through one season of like how they deal with traded players a lot more than Strat. Me too, man. That was the first thing I noticed when I unboxed my first season. It's the best. Yeah, 1 card for each team plus a combined card. It's absolutely the best way. They take care of everybody in that one fell swoop, that one decision of how to card. It was the first thing I knew I loved about the game. So I'm almost done with the 5th stack here. I'm not even paying attention. That's the wrong stack. That's why I wanted to do something while I was doing this, because otherwise I'd just be watching a movie or something. Or watching whatever the wifey had on the TV. So I'd rather just hang out with you guys and talk about random life and gaming topics for a little while.
Oh.
What's up, Jimmy James?
See, there's 2 Jack Russell puppies for June.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You guys can see my little girl over there, the loudmouth Midgie, sitting on the couch. Midgie. Who's my baby? Who's my baby? She's poking her head up.
She got a bone.
You can see her on the camera.
Mommy gave her a bone.
Oh, you got your bone?
Yeah.
You got your bone, little girl? Denny O'Toole.
Who's the princess? Huh? Who's the princess?
And since I've been chatting with you guys the whole time, we're on to the final stack. I'm going to, when I'm all done, I'm going to go through each stack and just make sure it's all the right team.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Because I don't want that derailing the beginning of a replay, because I didn't do my due diligence. That would just be negligence, sir. Hey, Ken, this is 1969. Little 1969 action. Apparently is that backwards? No. It's not backwards for you guys, okay. Little 1969 payoff pitch. Just getting ready to start the replay. As Gabe throws a little hip into the cards.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm trying to fix this. It looks icky and it's on camera.
Okay. So are you, just so you know.
What, do I look bad?
No, I just said you're on camera. I just want you to
yeah.
be aware of it.
So I took a shower.
Drop your pants or anything. Yeah.
Well, no.
It's not that kind of show.
Yeah, not that kind of shower. Not during the day, anyway.
Yeah. No, we have a different website for that. This is my year on candid camera. Are you still doing short seasons? Same with this season or longer? Ken, I'm gonna give an honest chance at going the full Monty on this one. Speaking of showing off too much, gonna try to go full season replay on 69.
Oh, Oscar, give her back her ball.
Oh, you did that, babe. You picked her up.
Yeah, black ball.
Yep.
All right, I'll get you another one, Midgie. Come here, Midgie. Come here.
This guy might walk a few people.
That was
What do you
Mom's
think?
fault.
Might walk a few people.
That was Mommy's fault. Love. I'm very sorry. Okay? Here you go.
It's really hard even now not to think about like, oh, what season will I play after this one? I don't know. Shut up and play this one. It's going to take you more than a year.
Come on, Midgie, eat your bone.
That's my doggy.
Come on, get that bone. Good girl. It's okay. Let Oscar eat that one. He's a bully. Here.
You can almost get something off him. Yeah, right. Yeah, he'll walk anybody. If you let him. Just don't swing.
She's barking at him because he's stolen.
This is the first episode of Game of Bones. Yep. Game of Bones.
Midgie. Midgie, get yours.
It's actually one of the I don't know if you guys know this. I am a writer. I've written a couple of short novels and a few short story collections, and most of them are about my puppies.
I'm sorry, sweetheart.
The best and most, I don't want to say famous because none of them are famous, but the best one that I wrote that did the best was one called The Dogs of Christmas Past, where my dogs go through the Scrooge experience, so to speak. But some of the other ideas I've had include Game of Bones. Pause, yeah, where the dogs just thought it was safe to go back into the water, basically. Although I think that might be a bear story, not a shark story, because I don't know how I'm going to do a shark story with puppies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's some other. There were a few others that I can't think of right now. I have a list of ideas written down, waiting to be written. If I would just stop playing baseball games I said that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I would just stop playing so much baseball games and write more. Ron Fairley. She loves dogs, and she's starting to get into reading. I'm a lifelong reader, so that's my book problem. Nothing like committing to a full season replay gets your respect for certain. Thanks, Ken. I've done a couple over the years, but I haven't completed one in a long time, and I've been game jumping an awful lot lately, so I put everything else away and put this one on the table today, and I'm going to start a blog about it and do a game of the week here on YouTube and some occasional updates on YouTube about what teams are doing, sort of like a This Week in Baseball thing. And just go from there and really just try to immerse myself in this replay for the next year and a half, probably. So that'll be fun. Jeffrey Goodman's over 1,800 games into a 69 replay. Yeah, I know. I've been keeping an eye on him. That's incredible. Makes me want to be retired. He puts everyone on YouTube, which I started doing when I started this channel with my 1986 Strat replay, and quickly realized that I would never be able to finish that replay. Because even if I broadcast a game in the morning and a game at night, first of all, that's 2 hours of my day, which I don't have to give to just play two games. There's that problem of wanting to get things done quickly again, right? But, I mean, let's say, best case scenario, I played 10 games a week. It's crazy. It's at 500 games a year. So, figure 86 was what? I can't think. Over 2,000 games. That's at least a 4 or 5 year project. And that disenchanted me with the idea of broadcasting every game pretty quickly. And I also realized that the channels I tend to watch, I don't watch people play the games a lot. I watch people do stuff like this. I watch people talk about their games. I watch people talk about what they like about games, what they don't like about games, different things they're trying. In particular, I really like, I can't think of the name of the channel right now, I'm sorry. There's a guy who does a lot of sports history, baseball history stuff. And talks about a lot of things from the dead ball era and things like that. And I can't think of, I think the guy's name is Daniel, but I can't think of the name of the YouTube channel. But I've really enjoyed his content because it's just fun to watch. I love listening to the guys on the podcast, Ron and Dave, because it turns out, and it was the same thing for me with video games when I was streaming video games on Twitch. I didn't like watching other people play games. I like being involved in a discussion about them or hearing people talk about them, but the actual watching the gameplay didn't do it for me very often. Every once in a while, Like I like hanging out in Jeff Guterman's chat because he just takes his time and has a lot of fun playing the game, and he's very entertaining. And I know people seem to like watching me play games for whatever reason, but I don't like watching other people play games as a rule. So I almost feel guilty saying that because I want people to watch me play games when I'm on there, but that also made me think that I'd like to diversify what I'm putting up on the channel a little bit. So your first project was taking 8 teams to the 2023 season you got with your first round out game a couple months ago. Play each of the other 7 teams 3 home and 3 away for a 42 game season. How do you incorporate it into your own play? A lot of what you're doing now. Yeah, it's cool. That's probably one of the first things I did when I went short season. I did 56 game seasons for whatever reason. I'd actually plotted out how many what the schedule would be for every season I owned at the time, and I did 6 or 7 of them before I got a little bored. I've never been able to really enjoy the computer game the way I wanted to, so I just stick to the cards and dice, and I would find different ways to do things. I liked draft leagues for a while. I did single season what ifs. So I did a replay to see how the 1962 Mets would do if they happened to have Babe Ruth on their team that year. And just as an outfielder, so I think Babe played right field for them, and they won 63 games instead of 40 because they still had no pitching. But was a fairly impactful player if you think about it. Yeah, it was the 1920, I think, Babe Ruth card. I don't know if I have 20 or 21, but it was the 1920 or 21 Babe Ruth card, and whichever season Strat released in Cards and Dice. And that was a lot of fun. That was a quick project too. I did that whole project in less than probably 3.5 weeks. Because when I'm rolling, especially with Strat, if I'm not broadcasting, it's on a work night, I'll easily get 4 or 5 games in an hour and a half if we're not doing anything. So I was banging those out. This one will go a little slower, but it's okay. I'm shooting for averaging 3 games a day, which is pretty typical once I get rolling in the evening. And if there's a night or two I don't make up for them, I usually make up for them on Sunday mornings when we're sitting around doing that much. So if I can keep up that pace, we should be right around 1.5 years. And I'm not going to stress over it if it's longer than that. Nor will I overly celebrate if it's shorter than that. I just want to, each game, each day, enjoy the journey, do daily recaps of where each team's at, try to look at the history a little bit, see why guys were called up, why guys were sent down, what guys were injured, why they're not on the roster, that sort of thing. And just really embrace the whole experience of experiencing 1969 as it happened and as it plays out on my tabletop. So I think it's a great season to start with because of the star power. My second choice would have been 86, but I played a lot of 86 in the last year on Strat, so I just wanted something different. What do you guys like watching on? Do you enjoy watching people play the games? I think there's 2 different. I don't know. Maybe there's overlap. I guess I'm overanalyzing it as usual, right? But it feels like there's 2 different groups of people who watch these things. The guys who want to enjoy the podcast and the commentary while they're playing the games, and then the guys who want to immerse themselves in every game and watch all of Jeffrey Guterman's replay, or all of. I know there's somebody who has watched every one of my games on my old Strat channel. You love Steve Aquilung's 1966 Strat replay. That's fun to watch. I haven't really watched Steve play at all. I don't know why. Could just be a timing thing. Because usually I'll give it a try and see if somebody catches my interest. I've just been busy lately too. When I'm not playing, usually I'm listening while I'm playing something. If we don't have a game on or a movie on or something. And when I'm not playing something, I'm probably not sitting in front of a screen. because we're out to dinner or I'm at work or whatever. Getting close here. Last few cards on the stack. Then I just got to do some quality assurance. Make sure the teams are correct, and I have to find some rubber bands. So many stacks are thick, man. I've always found that the teams that had the worst seasons had the most players. Have you guys noticed that? Like the teams that really struggled had the most player turnover, which makes perfect sense, I guess, as they're either they have injury issues, which is costing them games, or they're trying to find a guy who's a good fit for a position, who's actually going to hit, or whatever. But it's been my experience in most baseball seasons that the teams that are at the worst have the most roster turnover. So, San Fran, Seattle, Cincinnati. This is like one of those. You ever play those match games when you were a kid? You had to flip over the cards and then try to find another match, and you'd have to try to remember where they were. That's what this feels like when you're doing this. If you don't use the combined cards at all, you go with the team cards the players on at the time of the game. Exactly, Ben. Yeah, I just set the combined cards aside. I don't mess with them. To me, that would be for more of a draft league, because I want the player to perform. And I know it's a sample size issue, and that the sample sizes when you split the teams, when you split the players into multiple cards, are probably too small to get accurate results. But I still want the players to play like they did on the team, especially when there's a great difference in performance. You know, there have been guys over the years who hit like 190 for a team and played a third of a season with them or 2/3 of a season with them, and then got traded over to a contender, right, for the pennant run, and all of a sudden that guy hits 320 for the rest of the season and is a huge contributor in that pennant race. And I don't feel like with the combined card you're going to get something in between, and that's not going to be as impactful. First of all, he's not going to suck enough, frankly, when he's on the first team, and he's not going to be impactful enough when he's on the contender if he's got a middle of the road card that averages those two. So that's my logic. I don't know if it's right or not. I don't know, sample size comes into it, but I just have to make a decision about it, right? So I just decided no combined cards when I'm doing a nice play because of that reason. I want that guy who goes to the contender and is a huge boost to be that huge boost. Even if it seems like he's way overcarded. I mean, that's what he did for a month, right? Or that's what he did for 6 weeks. I can't think of a historical example right now, but I know there are some. You guys probably think of those better than I will. Concentration. Alex Trebek hosted that as a TV game show in the 80s. Oh, I kind of remember that, yeah. Wonder about that, especially pre-interleague play when players move from AL to NL facing a whole different competition. Yeah, exactly. I just think you're going to get a truer outcome in an as-played replay than if you used a combined card. Now, if you're playing a draft league, I'd use the combined card every time. And then even with the combined card, you're going to get some streaks, right? But if you play the full season, he's going to level out. It's unlikely that guys are going to play at a level for the entire season. Hey, easy babies. If a guy's like a 280 hitter, it's unlikely he's going to hit a flat 280 the whole season, right? Like there's probably going to be a month he hits like 210, and there's probably going to be a month he hits like 320. And that's part of the fun. It's like having that guy carry your team when, like having Bobby Richardson carry the 60s Yankees when Mickey Mantle's slumping or injured, like Billy Martin for me. Billy Martin always comes up clutch whenever I'm playing Yankees games from that era, and Mantle's just not hitting or Mantle's out of the lineup. Billy Martin's always good for like 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. Like he always seems to pick it up when the other guys aren't there. It's just a funny, quirky thing. And then again, probably a sample size thing in my brain, like a recency bias or something. But yeah, so they're all sorted. And I like the streakiness. Yeah. But all right, I'll do some quality control But thanks for hanging out with me. You made the sorting process a lot easier. I'm going to log off for the quality control so I actually pay good attention and make sure I've got everybody where I want them before I band them up and get ready to actually play the first game of this replay. I'm also probably going to eat lunch with the wifey since she's eating without me. She did ask me if I was hungry, and I'm not. But I should probably eat because if we're off schedule, it screws up the whole day. Yeah, exactly. Go through the stacks, make sure all the cards are with the teams. Ken, thanks for hanging out. Ben, thanks so much. Appreciate you guys chatting with me while I get through this laborious hour and 45-minute sorting process. Gave me some things to think about, and I'll see you guys soon. Maybe we'll do a game later or tomorrow. If probably do an opening day game at some point this weekend, since it's a pretty relaxed weekend before I go back to work. All right. There's my puppy. That's Midge. Oscar's over there. You can't see him. He's the orange dog who was on the couch earlier. And hope you guys have a great, what day is it? Saturday. Have a good Saturday. See you later.